So yeah, this is a thing I did. I've never speedrun anything before, but I've always liked the idea of speedrunning, and I've watched a lot of them on various different games. Thought it'd be cool to try one at some point, even if it doesn't really amount to anything. You know, just for the experience, just to say that I'd done it. A couple weeks ago, Jaden Animations uploaded a video where she attempted a speedrun for the first time. It's a good video. In fact, all her videos are very good videos, and you should go watch them if you haven't been already. But that put the idea back in my head. I really wanted to try it, and I wanted to try it now. And if I put it off, then I'd forget about it, or I wouldn't be motivated to. I wanted to do this right now. So I'd already decided which game I was going to do. It was going to be Loco Roco 2 on PSP. It's a game I'm very familiar with, and it's a game that I doubt has many recorded speedruns of it, if any. And most importantly, it's a game that I could capably speedrun. Loco Roco 1 is long and repetitive and tedious, and most of the later levels blend together in a way where I would likely forget where I was supposed to be going most of the time. And Midnight Carnival is just tough as nails. I did say in my Loco Roco Trilogy review in 2019 that Midnight Carnival makes the most sense to speedrun because of the boing mechanic and the different ways you could utilize it to get through levels really fast. It's a real challenge, but it's not one that I was willing to put myself through. Yet. But Loco Roco 2 has memorable levels that I can easily visualize the layouts of, even when I'm not even playing the game. It's perfect. So the first thing I did was just practice. I booted up the game, I started a new file, and I just tried to get through each level fast. I made mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes in hindsight. I wasted time saving the game when I should have just selected no. I went to the wrong levels by mistake a couple times. While playing one game of Gnocchi Neo Gnocchi that you have to finish in order for the story to progress, I was stupidly hitting the Loco Roco, which give you extra time when I should have just let the 60 seconds run down. I got game overs a few times because I was avoiding collecting berries, but of course if you don't collect berries then it's a one-hit kill. And I flat out glitched the first Collapton level by somehow splitting my Loco Roco apart, having one lone Loco Roco trigger a section that was supposed to take me to a different part of the level. Then that one Loco Roco died and the camera panned back to my remaining ones who were then just completely stuck with no way to progress in the level. It was a big mess. But after all that, I did it. I beat the final boss and I got the credits. I wasn't actually timing myself, but I know that I started about midday and I finished about 2:30, so roughly 2.5 hours. That's not bad, I guess. I mean, I know speedruns that go on for way longer than that. So let's check speedruns.com and see what, if any, runs there are for Loco 2 and see how my time compares. Okay, there's only 2. 5 days ago, really? Maybe I wasn't the only one inspired by Jaden's video. Kyria's 1 hour 50 is the current world record, so if I take out all my mistakes that I made in the practice run and I really try, I could probably come close to that. I didn't actually watch either of those speedruns. I certainly could have done, and in hindsight I think I should have done because it might have helped me learn some strats if there are any, but I'm pretty familiar with the mechanics of this game. I made a bunch of mistakes on my practice run, and I'm still within the ballpark. If there was some major time skip thing that I needed to know about, then I feel like these times would be a lot lower. So I left it for a little bit, and I started planning how and when I was going to record my first real attempt at this. Again, I certainly wasn't aiming for a world record, but I wanted to give it a good shot and at least come close to some degree. So let me just go back and check the rules for an any percent run. Today? Are you kidding me? Only one person had speedrun this game in the past 4 years, and suddenly 2 people successively beat the world record twice in the same week? Okay, if I wasn't dead set on doing this already, then this would have pushed me there. The universe wants this, and it wants it now. So I spent the next few days practicing, replaying each of the levels and getting my best time in every single one. I was averaging around 3 minutes each time, so 21 levels in the game, so that's 63 minutes, but of course that's not taking into account the tutorial, the bosses, the required minigames, the menus, the loading screens, and the fact the story elements within a level are skipped on later playthroughs, so basically that number is meaningless. So after all that, it was time to record. Monday, November 2nd. I didn't record any commentary because I started playing after 10 PM, as it was the only time that I could be sure I wouldn't be interrupted, and I finished the game in 1 hour, 38 minutes, 17.5 seconds. I did it. I got the world record. And I'm going to tell you how. I'm not going to go very in depth here, this is just a very rough guide because a lot of it is just a case of being familiar with the levels. which I assume a lot of you are not. So, tutorial. There's not really anything here, it's straightforward and it's easy, you just do it fast. Franzi 1, the main thing you want to do here is get 5 Locorocos before you get to Olmi. Olmi is one of the only 3 singing sections in the entire game that are actually required to progress through the level. They obviously give you enough berries at this section in case you didn't collect them already, but you have to wait for them to sprout, so it's quicker to just collect them on the way, which is pretty easy to do. You just get these 2 right at the beginning, then you jump to this one by the thorn, and then the last one is to the right of the Mojo mark. And boom, 5 locos already. Easy. This level also has a Moo Moo King section, and every section with him is required to progress. Then it's Perky-Loco 1. This level has the second required singing section, but it's basically right at the beginning, so just wait for this plant to sprout and collect 4 berries. It's much quicker than going out of your way at the very beginning to get the secret ones. The rest is very straightforward. You can skip hitting this third rock if you have enough speed, but after hitting the first 2, you probably won't. I didn't bother doing this in my run, but it's a potential time saver if you can do it. Then we move on to Champlain 1. This level has some of my favorite skips that I found when practicing, actually. The first one you can do by timing a jump just right. You can completely pass over this Domingo that you're supposed to slam into when coming down the slide. But by jumping over him, you can keep all of your momentum built up from the slide. This took me a number of tries to get right, and I ended up still hitting him on my recorded run, but thankfully I just clipped the top of his head, so I still kept most of my momentum. The other skip is in this last section where you're supposed to slam into this wall 3 times to break through it, and you do this by tediously going back and forth along this half-pipe slide. But if you split apart, you can do the first 2 hits in quick succession with your separate Locoroco, and if you can quickly rejoin, you can just break through on the last one straight after that, which does save a lot of time. Then you have to play through a whole game of Gnocchi Gnocchi, and you do this by doing nothing. Yeah, literally do nothing. There's no way to fail at this, so all you can do is wait for the 60-second timer to run out. I mean, you can hit the gnocchis if you want, but just make sure not to hit the Locoroco as they give you extra time. Jow Jab 1. These next 3 levels all have required Mojo Muck sections at the end, but since you don't have any new abilities yet, the quickest way to do these is by having a lot of Locoroco and splitting them up to clear them up. So yeah, you just collect berries, but only the ones on the main path. Don't go out of your way to collect hidden ones. And definitely don't get 15 Locorocos, but you really can't do that by accident, so I'm sure you'll be fine. Tropuco 1. Here's where you get taught how to swim. I somehow got lucky and my Locoroco actually jumped into the water while Moo Moo King was demonstrating, rather than waiting up on the ledge. I don't know if that saved any time really, but it was just funny that happened on my run, as it is pretty rare. Unlike the last level and the next one, I would advise against getting berries on this level, purely because the electricity section is much easier if you only have 1. Once that section's over, you can prepare for the Mojo Muck section, but you probably won't get many berries. Domingo Mama. So same as Jow Jab 1, basically collect berries for the Mojo Muck section at the end. Also be careful on this vine swing section. I got cocky here and I tried to skip the first vine, but then I missed the second one and got blown back. You can get through it quick enough with only 1 vine, but skip the second one, not the first one. Always grab the first one. Bon Mucho. Now this is great stuff. You can beat this boss in under 40 seconds because you can stun lock him by constantly bouncing on his head, provided you're not interrupted by any Mojos, of course. Yambuna Tree 1. There's not much here, just skip these 2 berries at the start to quickly slide through this section. There is also a required Mojo Muck bit here, but it doesn't take long, even with 1 Locoroco. Then you just take out the 2 Boo Boo planes at the end. Boo Boo Fort 1. Similar to the Mojo Muck, collecting a lot of Locorocos will let you get through some of these machine areas in seconds. And again, take out the 2 planes at the end. Chapo R1. There's a Moo Moo King section here at the start that you can't skip. The rest is pretty easy, not much you can really do to get through it any faster. Then you have to play through a game of Chupa Chupa, but you can just game over immediately by doing a quarter power launch on the first Chupa, and then at least half power on the second one to go straight into the thorns. Calapton 1. Again, there's a required Mojo Muck bit, so collect a bunch of berries on the main path. Thankfully, there are quite a lot. Also, if you time it right, you can jump straight into this cage thing during the sticky thing's first rotation, rather than waiting for it to do its full 580-degree spin before it slows down and stops. There's also this quick skip here. Jow Jab 2. Required Moo Moo King at the start, the rest is just a normal playthrough. Admittedly, I messed up a few times on this level, especially on this part that I don't understand. The air is supposed to launch you up to the branch, but it just wouldn't do it right for ages. In hindsight, maybe having more Locorocos by this point would give you a bigger hitbox, but I don't know. Calocero 1. Nothing much here, other than this little gnocchi skip you can do by launching off the first one at the right angle to pass over the second. Annoyingly, there was this really nice jump that I did here to avoid getting bounced into the breakable rock, which I then immediately let go to waste by spending way too long breaking through these 3 rocks right after. Boo Boo Campaign. Just shoot the planes, the quicker you do it, the quicker the game ends, simple as that. Chapo War 2. This level is a bit confusing to remember the layout of, since most of it is just clouds. The main thing to remember is unless you're dropped directly onto a bunch of cloud puffs that you're clearly supposed to eat your way through, just don't eat any cloud puffs, because those are secret areas, not the main path. There's also this little Kuna skip you can do here by jumping straight from the edge of the second bunch to the platform rather than waiting for the third bunch to form, but it's kind of difficult to position yourself with the low gravity, and I ended up not doing it anyway. Tropuka 2. Basically the same as Tropuka 1, try and avoid berries until after the electric bit. Mojo Muck is required to clear from this fish, but you'll have the first clearing ability by now, so it's much faster. Delangomeri 1. Just remember pathing, especially in the house at the start, to get up to this bell as quick as possible. No Mojo Muck is required, but the Moo Moo King bit is. Mutated Bon Mucho. There's no real skips here that I found other than on the first phase. If you're fast enough, you can get his fist to slam close enough to jump from straight away. On the other 2 you can't, you just have to wait. Franzi 2. Now for 2 slow and tedious levels in a row. This is the Dandelion floating level, so most of it is just waiting. The important thing to remember is pathing, so you don't accidentally get pulled into a secret area. With enough skill, you can break this wall on 2 hits on the first rotation. If not, you'll have to wait for it to come all the way back round. Also, Moo Moo cooking required and Mojo Muck required at the end. Yambuna Tree 2. This is the annoying egg level. The only thing I can suggest is get some berries, as the eggs are a bit easier to push if you're bigger. Mojo Muck required at the end. Thankfully, after those two you get a Champlin level, and Champlin levels are always really fast. No Mojo Muck is required, but the Ojala mini-boss at the end is, and this can take a little while. Now for Booey Booey Boon, which is the last required minigame. Now, here's a good example of why it's important to watch other people speedrun a game before doing it yourself. See, I thought, in fact I was almost dead certain that you had to complete one round of this minigame before the story would progress. You don't. You can just kill yourself instantly, which saves you about 4.5 minutes. Even though it makes no sense story-wise because there's this whole cutscene building up the battleship, surely you have to blow up the battleship before the story can continue? No, just game over and then you can play the next level. Luckily, I found this out before I started my run, and I even found a quicker way to do it than what these three did. You can actually just get stuck here and then the edge screen scroll kills you. Boo Booey Fort 2. Same deal as Boo Booey Fort 1. Get lots of berries so you can do these machine sections lightning fast, and you have to kill all the regular Moja in this part to unlock the door. Don't worry about the big Oja, he ain't bothering nobody. Kalokara 2. There's only one real skip here, and annoyingly I only found it a couple of days ago after I recorded my run. In this rotating maze bit, if you just jump right immediately, you can get out of the exit straight away, which saves roughly 13 seconds. Again, I discovered this after my run, but I've still got the world record, so I mean, who cares? It just means that I have a PB, and that I could realistically beat it if I was bothered to. I checked the other 3 existing runs to see if anyone else had done this, and funnily enough, the only one who did was Kyria, who was previously in 2nd place, and is now in 3rd. And in fact, they did it without even triggering the rotation to start. The Langomeri 2. Here, on the final level, is where we have the 3rd and final required singing section, which again you need 5 Locorocos for. You can get the first berry immediately and then just get the other 3 in this closed off area with the Booey Booey. At the part with the 2 Ojajas, you just need to hit the button to unlock the door, you don't need to defeat them. And also I would say watch out for this Dunga Dunga in the ceiling right next to the finish, because if you grab it then you'll have to pull it out. Then all that's left is the final boss, and there's no real strategy to this as far as I know. The first part is an auto-scroller that you can't speed up, and her attacks when on her face seem to be mostly RNG. Stay away from her nose where possible, and if you kill all the Moja, she'll make more appear, which will waste time. And then it's just the final phase, which just comes down to good timing. If you time each bounce perfectly first time, you can do it in under 14 seconds, which I did not. So there we go. That's the whole game. Like I said, I messed up a few times and I found some skips out after I had already recorded my run, but I still got the world record. I mean, that's not me trying to belittle any of the 3 people who submitted runs before me, because each one of them held the world record at some point as well. And that's just how it goes with speedrunning, I guess. As more people do it, more skips and tricks are found, and people get better and better at the game. The world record gets lower and lower, and at some point, somebody will beat my time. Maybe even soon. Maybe they already have when you're watching this video. But for now, I'm just thankful to have been part of it all, and I think it's something that everyone should try at least once in their lives, because it is a lot of fun. Anyway, thanks for watching, and have a great day.